Paul, do you have an email address? Yeah, you know, an electronic email or electronic mail. Wait, why are you mad? Because you don't have time for email because you read my emails? Oh, sorry there's so many of them. Welcome to another episode of the Mighty Code Coder. I'm Rob Fitzgerald, here to make you great and help you innovate. In this episode, we are going to continue working in our adhesive modules. In the end, I want to end the week making sure that you're comfortable in your learning management system, or LMS, and that you are confident how to navigate it on your own and at your own pace. So today I want to again assist you with your modules in Unit 1. So we will push the AWS project day back another day, but I promise you tomorrow we are going to just work in AWS with a special project I'm working on. In fact, it is right here. And AWS has put it together, so tomorrow you're going to be making your own web page. Yeah, in one class period, you're going to have your own web page. So anyway, we'll get that going. And so last year we started with only 2 AWS project days. And when the students started to feel more confident in the LMS and AWS console, we increased it to 3 days. So maybe to start this year, it is a bit much to have 3 AWS days. So this week will be a little bit of an anomaly. Okay, it'll be a little different. I guess we will slowly work into our daily schedule, which is this piece right here. And we will do just 2 AWS days and 3 module days. So let's get going. And let's start by logging into our adhesive. All right, so I just click on my bookmarks. So hopefully you guys are creating bookmarks so you go the same spot every day. I click right into adhesive, and hopefully you're all getting into adhesive. I think there was a couple of people that were having trouble, and then I said be there after school, but it's kind of hard to be in after school. I guess I got to log back into your, it'd be great to have a Google Meets for after school activities, because I might not remember who needed to be there, so I don't know what class to log into. So let's do that. That's probably a great idea. I'll make a Google Meet for after school, like office hours. Like where you can meet me after school for office hours, and I'll open that up and I'll be in there so you could come in there, and if you're having problems we could talk after school. So let's get that set up too. All right, but first let's log in to adhesive, and I feel like I'm missing in my, let me see this, maybe I'm just in the wrong spot. I watched the entire class on my iPad here, and I'm not seeing the comment section, so I don't know if people are asking questions. So if you have a question, I'm live in my class at South Hills High School, and if the students have a question, say it out loud. Oh, turn on your mic, because I can't see the comment section today. I'll try to fix it, see what I did differently. But for right now, just go ahead and tap your mic and talk if you need me, because I can't see comments right now, so I apologize. All right, so I'm going into my courses, and I'm going to go into Intro to CS1, and I'm going to try to take up or start where I left off yesterday. So I'm going to go to Modules, and if I remember right, we did a couple, right? So here is lesson practice using Python 1.2. I think that's as far as we got. And then I talked about the student forum, and then the forum communication guidelines. All right, and then coding practice 1.2. Just for refreshers, let's go back into coding practice 1.2 and make sure we got that. So remember, if you were going to work ahead, you would watch these videos. All right. And this is just a simple print hello. And I think this is where I was at because here's print hello. And then when I ran the code, it automatically printed hello world. Okay, right there. And then there was something different from running the code to actually having it grade. So if I grade it, I could run it, but it didn't pass. So one of the reasons it didn't pass was because make sure the code pasted into the sandbox exactly matches the instruction. And so remember I did hello man instead of hello world. So I think if I check it now, I think it'll come out with a 100% score. No, I'm still off a little bit. What did it say it wanted to do? Run the check, run code, check the code. And remember, you could always look at the message and see what seems to be the problem. And I did not pass it, and I think it's because, well, it looks pretty good to me. The test case checks that your program outputs the correct message, hello world. Oh, see how it's a lowercase w? And I have an uppercase W. So if I go down there and put the lowercase and hit check code. So you got to troubleshoot. Okay, you got to troubleshoot, and then there it is. I got 100% pass. Okay, so that's just a little review from yesterday. And remember, they showed you how to do that in these videos that your teacher does. So I'm probably just going over what they went over. So you always have, if you do get stuck, watch these videos again and see what you did wrong. And it could be the littlest things. It could be very frustrating. But I know when I had bugs, when I first started programming, like where you're at in your shoes, maybe you think it's the computer or something's wrong with your browser or your Chromebook, and it usually ends up being the person looking at the computer. Okay, the person looking at the computer is usually one making the error, and you right away want to assume there's something else wrong, but it's usually some little thing that you're doing, and you've got to try. A great tip was when we do pair programming on Tuesday, it's good to have someone else look at your code. Sometimes you can't see it. Like do you guys ever text and you put, instead of put your, you put you? I always do that. So I'm saying, check your browser, and instead I don't put the R on the U and I put you. You just can't see it sometimes. So sometimes when other people see it, they see you put you and you didn't put your. So you do the same thing in coding. You just leave something off and your eyes are looking at it and it looks perfect. Have someone else look at it, because your brain will fill in things that are wrong. And that's how our brains work. Okay? You don't necessarily need to have, in fact, what's that one show, Wheel of Fortune, where they just have some of the letters up on the board and your brain can fill in the other letters? Your brain does that all the time. Okay, it fills in things that aren't there. So that's why you can't see your own mistakes. All right, so let's go to modules and go back to where we were at. So we wanted to do 1.3 today. Okay, this is your first program. Now, if you're ahead of me and you worked ahead, go ahead and just go right by me. I'm going to put this down for people that are still trying to catch up. But there is a first program that they want you to do. All right, and it's covered in these three videos. So again, if you were working on your own, I would have you watch those 3 videos. This one's 3 minutes, 50 seconds. This is 2.5. So that's about 6.5, and that's about 10 minutes. So about 10 minutes, you have this entire lesson, okay? And the very first thing they want you to do is you definitely need to read what the instructions are, okay? Then, after you read the instructions, they'll have you code it. Now remember, to move on, you always go to this next button, okay? Right here. And when I saw that, I see Paul's in duress. Paul, don't read all my emails. Please, don't read my emails. All right. And most of the time after these videos, you're starting to notice that there are quizzes, graded quizzes. Okay. So there's about 10 minutes worth of video and a 4-question quiz at the end. So let's give you about 15 minutes to go through those videos, take that quiz, and that'll take us pretty close to the end of class. Let's see if there's one more thing I could do before I let you go. I might just let you run the rest of the class. Why don't I do the next activity and then I'll let you do the rest of this on your own. Watch the videos and do it on your own. All right, so here's the instructions. Write a line of code to output the following message: welcome to computer science. Okay, so let's do this. Let's misspell this. Okay, so here's how you do it. Print welcome to compute science. All right, and let's go ahead and run this code. And so I will run it, and it runs fine. See how it runs fine? But now let's go ahead and grade it. Check code. And it doesn't pass. So that's how sensitive it is. It knows that I didn't spell computer right. Vector, go home. My robot in the background is hearing me. He's actually playing me in blackjack right now. But anyway, so if I put an R right here and hit check code, it should pass. Let's see, did it not pass? For some reason, it's not pass. Let's see. Let's see what the problem is. So down here, this is what's expected. Welcome to computer science. Okay, welcome to computer with an excellent. You see the difference? Okay, so this is really nice because they're actually that's actually better troubleshooting than what really happens in a real IDE. That's so nice. And so you can see I forgot the exclamation point. So I will come in here and do the exclamation point, and I'll hit check code. And you should see I'll get 100%. Oh, it's really a problem. I put a 1. I didn't put an exclamation point. I'm doing all this on purpose. You know that, right? Just for your example, just for your benefit. All right. So I got an error, and now I check code, and now it'll be 100 with the pass, and then you save that, and then that turns it in, and that goes into your grade book. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do today. So I want you guys to go ahead and read. If you're in CS 101, I want you to go ahead and watch those videos. Do that and move through your module. I only stopped at 1.3, but remember we're going to go all the way to 1.4, I believe, is in your guidelines. Let's go to the guidelines again. Here's the guidelines. Pacing guides by the week. And it wants, actually 1.3, that's all they want for this week. Isn't that great? So you guys are done after you're done with that you nailed this week. Now you can keep going if you want and get ahead. And then tomorrow, remember, we're not going to do anything. We're going to go in the module. We're going to go into AWS and work on an AWS project. You're going to do your own website tomorrow. Very exciting. Okay. So I will pause the video there and I will let you guys go, and it'll take you to right to the end of the class. Watch those videos, do those exercises, move on if you want to, and I'll be back with you then. All right. So now if you're in AP Computer Science Principles, you want to continue with your programming today by going to modules. And yesterday we got the iterative development process done, 1.1 to 1.2, and hopefully you got those exercises done. And today we are going to work on 1.2 algorithms. So I'll click on that. And again, here is what they're going to teach you. They're going to have you start with Scratch and start using a if-then statement. And so this program right here is 11 minutes and 10 seconds. So what I would have you do is you go ahead and watch this video. So take the next 10 minutes and watch that video. Read this for your input, okay? And when you get done, click on the next button, and they're going to have you start doing an exercise where you actually put together an algorithm. You guys are doing algorithms every day, like tying your shoes in an algorithm, and you guys do the same thing every day. And it's like a series of functions put together succinctly that you do every day the same way. Okay, and so they'll have you do this, write an algorithm. Okay, write your own algorithm. And so that one will be done, and that'll be something that you once again submit as a text entry box, a website URL, or a file upload. Okay. So like you say, you put it up there, I will have to grade it. I will look at it and I'll give you a point for it. And so that's what, if you're CSP today, that's what you are doing. So continue with that. And I will go ahead and pause the video and give you a time to look at those videos, or look at that video and then do this exercise. All right, so if you're in CSA, this is what I'll have you do today as we continue with our LMS and our module lessons. All right, so if I click in modules, yesterday we did unit 1 lesson 1, and we did unit 1 lesson 2, and now I'm going to do unit 1 lesson 3 and unit 1 lesson 4. That was hard to get out. I don't know why. So let me do. Remember, I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do one of them, just so you can kind of see me working in the new IDE. And so let's go to 3, lesson 3, data types. Okay, so here I am right here, and I am going to do for you guys coding activity 1. Okay. All right, so this is the 1. All right, so if you could see, I already coded it. I meant to clear that before I went in, but now that it's already here, this is the answer for exercise 1. And again, you're using an import. Let me scroll in. You're using import java.util.scanner. Okay, that is a class. Okay, we'll talk about classes later, but this class is an object and it has some functions in it. So we want to use that class and its functions. So we first import it. If you see, basically, if Java had all their classes and functions imported into every document, your app would be so big that it would run real slow and it would clog the internet. So you import only the sections you need. It does come with some default sections or functions already, but for this one, the scanner is not default, and you've got to actually import it in. Okay, and scanner basically looks for, on your system, if a user is importing something from a keyboard or some other input device. All right, so what you do is you first create an object, and this is of type scanner, and the name of the object, we're going to call it scan. So you could look at this as something like you're a human, and that's your type. And your parents, when they named you, they gave you a name. So like Colin, okay? So Colin, that would be right here, of type human. In fact, if I type it here, it might make more sense. So if I say I'm going to use the human class, and I'm going to use an object named Colin, okay? So that's Colin of type human, okay? So that's kind of when I give it a name, I have to say what type of object it is, and that's what they write first, and then the object name. And you see the class name is always capitalized, and the object name is always lowercase, and that's convention. You could switch it. You can't switch this around because the class name was capitalized. So if you made it lowercase, but if I made this capital S, it would still work. But by convention, just so when you look at things and you see right away, I know this is not a class. This is actually an object name, scan. Okay, and then to instantiate your object, you use the new word. Okay, and we'll talk more about classes. If this does not ring a bell, to talk about objects this early is tough, but they do talk about it by unit 2. And any good AP computer science book usually starts talking about objects very early, because object-oriented programming is all the rage, and you should be talking about objects early. I know I had some computer books that wouldn't talk about objects until like the 9th chapter, but they now get them going early, and that kind of dissertation I gave you is kind of how they do it. Everything is an object, and then you got to give the object a name. Okay, so just like if you guys have a favorite pencil and you call it Larry or something like that, the object is pencil, the name of the pencil is Larry. Don't name your pencils, that's really weird. though people sometimes use their cars or name their cars. All right, so anyway, scanner equals new scanner. So now I have this object, the scanner object, sitting there waiting to do some functions, okay? And we don't use it till down here, but the next thing you got to do is I have variables. Okay, you have variables in your math classes, and you use them all the time. And what variables do is they hold data. Remember I said the study of computer science is really just how you manipulate, store, and move data. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to bring in something from the keyboard. Someone's going to type something from the keyboard. If someone types from the keyboard, where am I going to store it? Well, in a variable. And so we'll store it in this variable n and r. Okay, and the reason I say double is you also have to say what type of data it is. And so the type of data is 1.3. Whenever you use a decimal point, that's a double. Okay, a whole number is a int or integer, short for integer. And there's all kinds of, there's booleans that are true and false. Okay, and you'll have to start learning what data type, you got to classify your data type. Okay, so these are, if you read the instructions on this thing, it says write a program that prompts the user to input 2 doubles. So that's the type of data that's going to come in from the keyboard. And then prints these 2 doubles backwards on the screen. So it comes in at 1.3, 6.8, but then it prints to the screen 6.8 and then 1.3. Okay, so make sure you read the instruction and understand the problem first. Be very, very sure about what the problem is. Okay, so I know that someone's gonna input, from the keyboard. So therefore, I know I have to use the scanner class, and I gotta instantiate a scanner object, and then I gotta store 2 variables. So I gotta create 2. Now in your math classes, you use just letters like this, but you should use something more descriptive because you could use as many as you want now. So it should be something like first number, okay, and then second number. When I first started programming, I'm dating myself, but you had to use X and R because you didn't have enough storage on your computer. It had such little storage. Now we have massive amount of storage. So you really should use very good names of your variables, okay? Now, I don't know why math doesn't do that. X and Y they always use and stuff, but they should actually use a better terminology, but I think it's for simplicity, okay? And probably because everything's in a graph and X and Y makes sense. But when they start using more than just X and Y, they start going J and R and L, and you're like, why don't you just use a word? And they can, but they won't. All right, so, and then your system.out print line is going to be what's going to be printed to the screen. Okay, we talked about that print line yesterday with typing Alicia Key 3 times, okay? And then I have to put the name of the variable here, so I change the name of the variable to first number, so I'm going to change it here. All right, and then I'm going to use a function in the scanner class called scan, and it has a function called, actually, I'm sorry, scan is the object name. See how this scan and this scan are the same thing. So you use the object name and then the function. Okay, so if I go back to my colon example, I would say colon dot go get milk or run to the bank or whatever function he's going to perform for me. I would say colon dot. So this is scan dot next double. So it means input a next double. So sometimes they don't know what to name the function, but the function to bring in a double is next double. All right, and you could read the documentation, and it gives you all the documentation of the scanner class, and it would tell you what each function does or what the name of each function is. So for right now, it's just next double. Remember, this is all in your video and your work up to this activity. All right, and if you don't remember it, you can go back, and here is, you could visit the page that how oh, this is how it's graded, and that's not, but you can go back, go back, okay, and see how they talked about data types and the scanner class. All right, so I scan the first number, and then I got to scan in the second number. Okay, and keep an eye on time. All right, so second number is the second double, and we're going to go ahead and scan again. And then I want to print out, even though I took in the first number, second number, I want to print out second number, first number. So I want to print out the second number first. And then I want to print out the first number second. Okay, and that is how you get two inputs. So I'm going to go ahead and run this now. Let me zoom it in so you can see it. Make sure Paul's not in the way. Paul, be cool. All right, so it's running the code now. And it says input two doubles. I got to point to it. Input two doubles. And so I'm going to put in, what were the numbers that they wanted? They wanted 1.3. Okay, and so I'm going to hit return on the keyboard. And then I'm going to put, actually that might be wrong. Me hitting that return might be wrong. And I'm going to put 6.8. And I'm going to hit return. And so though I put in 1.3 and 6.8, it outputs 6.8 and 1.3. So that looks good. Now let's go ahead and grade it to see if that's exactly what they wanted. Okay, so here we go, check code. I feel like I'm going to get it right, and I think as a good teacher I should have got wrong to begin with so that I could show you some errors. And there it is. So the tests all passed, and so it was running 3 different tests to see if it was correct. Okay, and this is what it was checking. The test case runs your program using 1.3 for the first input and 6.8. Then it was testing, checks that your program final output phase is determined to be the user input. And then the third test it was checking for is the test case checks that your program calls scanner method next double twice. That's beautiful, right? So this is not how IDEs usually work. They're not usually this nice to you. So this is very nice. All right, so that's that's lesson 3. So very nice. And I have 9 minutes left, so let's do lesson 4. Now, I think after every one of these, there might be some kind of quiz. So if you go next, if you hit next down below, oh, it's activity 2. So these activities you do on your own. I'm not going to give you an example of these ones. Okay. I just want to kind of talk about it a little bit and then have you guys go through some of the struggle, and that's where the real lesson is. All right. But I do want to do one in lesson 4. All right. So I'm going to go into module unit 1, lesson 4. So here's unit 1, lesson 2, lesson 3, and here's lesson 4. And then I am going to do activity 2. All right, so first thing you do is read the instructions. Make sure you understand what the problem is fully, okay? All right, so it says write a program which takes user input of a number of inches and then prints the number of whole feet in that many inches. Remember, there are 12 inches in a foot. For example, if the user enters 56, the program should should print 4. As there are 4 whole feet in inches, okay? It's 4'8", but we only want the full number, which is 4. So now they're trying to know, they want you to know the difference between ints and doubles, okay, and how they react. All right, so if you go to the coding, once again, you got to use the scanner, okay, which means you got to import the scanner class, and you got to instantiate, that's the proper terminology, a new scanner object, and the name of it's going to be called scan. I feel like it should be named Stan. Should I change the name of it? I'd like to change the name of it just so you guys understand that this could be anything that you make up. All right, so I'm going to call it Scanner Stan, or if I even wanted to, I could name it Scanner colon, okay? Convention is that you give the object name a lowercase name, so sorry, Colin, if I didn't capitalize your name, but I'm going to call the scanner Stan, okay? Just so that you can see that this is something you make up. When I first started programming, I had a hard time saying, what's a reserved word that Java uses, and what's one that I'm making up? So I always try to make sure that that's clear. This is an object name. It's of type scanner, but its name is Stan, okay? And I got to input one variable, okay? And then I got to see how many feet are in that variable. All right, so I will actually say, let me see, it says input number of inches. So I could actually put, for the name of this, num inches. So to be real descriptive with your variables, that's a great term. Also, by the way, if you're ever coding or you're in a coding contest and your variables are the same as someone else's, they're going to catch you because variables, you get to make it up. So if you all had the same variable names, that's weird. Okay, so they could see that if you're just copying other kids' codes, that if all your variable names are the same, that's a problem. Okay, so num inches, but sometimes it's hard to be creative and come up with an idea, but it should just say what it is. This is num inches. All right, so the very first thing I'm going to print a screen to tell the user, hey, input the number of inches. I feel like this should be capitalized too. Input, and make a good sentence. Input the number of inches. Okay, that's a little bit better. And then I'm going to have to bring in one, so I'll call this num inches because I changed the name of it. Okay, so remember that is the name, and remember the name of the object is no longer scan. The name of the object is stan. Stan.nextInts. Okay. All right, so that brings it in. Now what should I do with it? Well, they want you to see how many feet are in it. Okay, so if I go num inches divided by 12, that's not a whole number. Okay, but what was num inches? An integer. And so if you do division and it comes out to 4.8, but you said that data was an integer, it's just going to cut it off. It's not going to round up or round down. It's just going to truncate it. And it's just going to give you the first number before the decimal place. Okay, so yeah, let's do this. Let's go ahead and run this. And if I run the code, input the number of inches, and I should go 56. Hit return, and it's 4. Okay, very good. And let's go ahead and hit grading, and let's check the code. And checking still. Boom, all 3, and I get 100% score. Now hit save, and then that saves it into the grade book, and you get credit for this program. Isn't that great? All in one. Okay, let's. I wanted to do one last thing before I let you go. What if I didn't change the name of this? I kept this at scan. You're going to start getting the same errors, and the errors kind of don't make sense, but you'll start getting a feel for what the problem is just by the error that you do get. So let's go run this and see the error we get if the object name was wrong. Oh, there it is. Sure enough, there's object is wrong, and it says in here, variable scan, location, class C. The error is not very clear, is it? And so it's not always that easy. Here it says cannot find symbol num inches, and so it points to num inches. So it doesn't even point to that the scan's wrong. All right, so once you start getting these, you'll start seeing it, but you just got to make a lot of errors right now. And the more errors you make, the more you'll see that, oh, my name is wrong. I named the scanner Stan, and in here it's called Stan. So I got to switch that to scan and run the code, and then it will work fine, okay? Okay, so that's a little lesson in data types and what they do when you use doubles and ints and how they truncate things, all right? And that's it for this lesson, okay? And that's pretty much it for this episode, okay? So let me do a sign off here. That does it for this episode. Hope that you enjoyed it. Remember, always trying to make you great and help you innovate. So until next time, Paul, what do you need? Oh yeah, he wants me to make sure I remind you guys that if you have any questions, leave comments below or go to the website at www.themightycodecoder.com. And also that you can find me on Twitter at MightyCodeCoder. Thanks for watching.